Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'll be showing you how I usually do my skin, how I achieve that flawless semi matte finish. I don't like my skin to be like really matte, but I don't want it to be super dewy either. So I'll show you how I achieve my skin routine, how I usually do my base and my brows as well. But before we jump right in, please guys, subscribe to my channel and also turn on your notifications so that you would be notified when I upload a new video. So if you want to see how I achieve this, what I have on right now, if you want to see how I achieve that, please keep watching. First things guys, I'll start off with a primer. Now you can use any primer that works for you, but this is the Milk Hydro Grip Primer. Now this is not a mattifying primer. I know I have oily skin, I have combination to oily skin, but I like the way this feels on my skin, and I like the fact that it makes my makeup last all day. So I'll just rub this in and give it 1 minute to just sink in. Then the next step, I go in with my Laura Mercier setting powder. This is in the shade medium deep. So I'll just use this. Now what this does for me, I press it on, into my skin. I'll just use a beauty blender and apply this on my skin. Now because I have oily T-zone, this just helps to keep my makeup matte. So I'll just press that into my skin with a beauty blender before my foundation. Now for my foundation, I'll be using the NARS Luminous Foundation and the Estee Lauder Hydrating Foundation as well. Now this is the double wear foundation, but this is the hydrating version, not the matte one. Now these two foundations, they are both the NARS one is luminous and the Estee Lauder one is hydrating, but both of them are full coverage foundations. So I first use a brush to press that into my skin, and I like to use tapping motions when I'm blending out my foundation. So I tap that into my skin, but I make sure everywhere is covered properly. And guys, this can take like up to 5 minutes sometimes, if not more, because I like to make sure everything is well blended out properly. Then I'll still go in with the beauty blender, and I'll use the bottom part of the beauty blender, take a little bit of the product from the back of my hand, and then make sure go back in and just make sure everything is well blended out. I'll just make sure my foundation is well blended out on my face. And guys, don't forget to go under your jawbone, under your jaws, around your hairline, and then around your ear as well. So for concealer, I'll first use a shade that is very close to my skin tone. So this is the Too Faced Multi-Sculpting Concealer in Chestnut. So this, I'll use the same brush I used to apply my foundation. Meanwhile guys, that brush is actually a concealer brush. It's the Morphe Bullet. I don't really know the name of the brush, but it's supposed to be a concealer brush, but I just love it. I think it applies product very well, so I use it for practically everything. So I'll use this first, and then I'll go back in again with the beauty blender. I'll just make sure everything is well blended out. I need everything to look very seamless. That's why guys, you have to blend. The key word when you're doing your makeup is blend till your hand hurts. So you just make sure everything is well blended out before I go in with another concealer, and this is going to be in a lighter shade. Now this is the one I used to highlight. Guys, I like my under eyes to be snatched, and that is why I go in with a lighter shade. This is at least 3 shades or more lighter than my foundation. Now this is a Black Up concealer, Black Up No Transfer concealer. Now why I like this one is because it doesn't shift. So I have lines under my eyes, I have a bit of lines under my eyes, and for some reason most concealers tend to just shift after a while, but this concealer doesn't do that. It's a very beautiful shade. I love the undertone, and then I love the texture of the concealer. So I'll still go back into that Too Faced concealer and put that just on the bridge of my nose and on my upper lip. Then I go in with my beauty blender. I take a bit of the concealer and then I blend. Now when I'm blending, after I'd blended out the concealer, I'll use the bottom of the beauty blender, the parts that have my foundation shade on it, and just blend out the edges of the concealer, just to make sure that there are no lines, just to make sure everything, the concealer and the foundation, there's a seamless blend between the concealer and the foundation. Again, guys, don't get tired of blending. I know this seems like a long process, but honestly, trust me, guys, it's not. By the time you get used to it, I'm sure you'll be able to do this in under like 10 minutes. So most times when I'm even doing my makeup, I don't use a beauty blender when I'm doing my makeup for like every day, for work and all that. Most times I just stick to brushes, and I love that brush I used earlier, the Morphe, the one I used for my foundation and my concealer. Guys, that brush is the bomb. If you don't get any brush from Morphe, you need to get that. Really, guys, you need to get that. So you can see how everything looks very smooth and seamless. So I'll just go back in and just make sure everything, mostly for the under eye, because I have lines on my under eye, so I just like to make sure everything looks blended well, everything is well blended out. So I use another beauty blender and take a pressed powder in a lighter shade. This is also from Black Up. This is their TW01. I really love that powder, guys. It's it has the perfect yellow undertone. You know that powder yellow that is that I'm sorry, I'm blabbing, I know, I'm so sorry. So this powder is yellow but not too yellow, and then I like the fact that it's not very cakey. So I use that first to set my under eye, and everywhere I use the lighter shade of concealer. Then I go back into my Laura Mercier setting powder, the medium deep, and then I set the rest of my face. Now, one reason why I like to use translucent powders to set my face is because they don't cake up my foundation. Now, because I like the way the skin is looking, I like the coverage I got with the foundation, I'm going to use a setting powder. Now, if I needed more coverage, I would have used a pressed powder like the MAC Studio Fix, but because I'm pretty much okay with the foundation, I use just translucent powder to set. Next, I just go in with the Laura Mercier translucent setting powder to just do a little bit of baking on my under eye and the bridge of my nose. So I'm not using so much powder because I don't want it to look too not like the Laura Mercier is actually very nice. The Laura Mercier translucent setting powder is like the best thing out there. So I'm just using very little. I'm not baking so much. I'm more like pressing the powder into my skin. Then for contour, I'll be going in with Fenty Beauty Mocha Mami bronzer. I'll just place that. Yeah, just place that and then blend out. Place it in and blend out. I'm going in with this cheek brush from Clinique, and then the sides of my face. So those are the parts I'll typically contour. And then under my jawbone, I'll go with that powder. I'll place it first and then I blend it out. Don't worry, I know it looks hella dark right now, but I'll still go back in with the Fenty Beauty Coconutty this coconutty bronzer. I'll use that to just blend out the harsh lines that you're seeing right now. Blend. Now I'm going in with the Fenty Beauty Mocha coconutty. Coconutty is a lighter bronzer, is a lighter shade. So I'll just use this to just soften the lines you're seeing on my face right now. The lines created by the darker. Yeah, I'm just softening those lines. And then I'll place it on my forehead as well. Just take a little bit more. Blend, blend, blend. This diffuses the lines. It just makes everything look very seamless, very smooth, not cakey at all. I really, really love these bronzers. Like, they're the best thing out there. Well, not the best technically, but they're really good. So everywhere I use the Mocha Mami, I'm going to use this coconutty to just blend out. Then to contour my nose, I'll go in with an eyeshadow blending brush and coconutty. Coconutty is the lighter shade of bronzer. So now for the nose, you have to be careful not to use a shade that is too dark. So one reason why I like to use the eyeshadow blending brush is because it just have a way of making the nose contour look very soft. It gives it that very soft look. I don't like those harsh lines. I don't like to see harsh lines on my face. So and that is why I like to use I don't like to see harsh lines. So that is why I like to use blending brush as opposed to proper nose contour brushes. I don't know if that makes sense. So always remember to just brush it into the hair and the eyelashes as well, eyebrows rather. And then I'll take my powder brush with a little bit of powder and just run over it again. This helps to get rid of harsh lines. And then I'll just go over my face with my powder brush. Make sure everything looks seamless, Just brush everything out and make sure everything is well blended out. Now I'm going in with this is what we call reverse contouring. I'll just go in with the translucent powder, a loose powder, and just carve out under the contour powder. This will just help. I just carve out that area. This helps my face to look very snatched. And I use the setting spray. This is from MAC. I'll use the setting spray to just get rid of all that powdery look so that my makeup is well settled. Now we are going in with highlighter, and this is from MAC. This is the gold deposit. I'll put that on the highest point of my cheek. Blend, blend, blend. Just a little bit. I don't like my highlight to be too much, so just a little bit. And then I go in with a smaller brush and put it just on the bridge of my nose, on that high point, and then on the tip of my nose, on the bridge there and on the tip. And then I blend it out. Now this is my favorite part of makeup, and this is blush. So these are my favorite blushes to use, and this is the black up blush in number 9 and 11. I just mixed those two together, and guys, if I tell you, that is the best. Those blushes are highly pigmented and very, very beautiful. And I'll just use my setting spray again. This is just to make sure everything is well blended. Everything settles in. And I'll put my setting spray on a beauty blender and then get the under eye area, because most times when you use setting spray, they don't get that under eye area properly. But I'll just spray it on the beauty blender and just make sure everything is well, that the beauty blender gets everywhere. Now guys, can you just see that? Okay, now we are starting off with the brows. So for my brows, a couple of things I like to say is that my brows don't look the same. Most times your brows don't look the same. Like, they're sisters, they're not twins. Hello. So you take a brush, a spoolie, and just brush the hairs upwards. I don't have the best brows, guys, please bear with me. So brush the hair upwards, and then you start by yeah, outlining the bottom part of your brows. So that sort of gives you a you just outline the bottom part of the lash. Now another thing, guys, I don't like to construct. I don't know if this makes sense, but you see how you see some people construct brows, and I just like to follow the natural shape of my brows, and then I feel it in the way it grows, in the direction it grows. So what I do is I fill in my brows. I don't draw my brows, I fill them in with light hair like strokes. So light, and when I fill them in, I brush it out just to make sure that the hairs just to make sure that the it doesn't come out looking too dark. So when I fill it in, I brush it out. This is just like, anyway, let's continue first. So I just fill them in lightly. I follow the same direction, the hair, the same way it grows, the same direction. That's what I do. So I'll just brush them upwards, give light hair like strokes. I just fill them in lightly. And that's the same thing I do on the other side. Now bear in mind, guys, like I said, your brows are sisters, but they are not identical twins. So you try as much as possible to make them look alike, but they don't have to be the same exact thing. I think that's what frustrates people the most. And while I'm filling in the second one, I just always make sure I look at the first one I did, just to make sure at least they look alike. And then when I come to the beginning part of the brows, I really like to make sure it's not so dark around that area. So now I go in with a concealer and a concealer brush. I'll just clean up the bottom part of the brows, and I highlight it as well. So I don't like to do this to the top of my brows. I just do this on the bottom part because I just want it highlighted and I want it to look neat. Go in with another brush and just make sure the concealer is well blended out. And same thing I do on the other side. Get a flat top concealer brush. I love flat top. I prefer the flat top concealer brushes to angle brushes. I don't know. I think that's the best thing ever. So after you've cleaned it up, you go in with another blending brush and just make sure that concealer you use on the bottom of your brows is well blended out. Guys, the key word here is to blend out. And then I use the same concealer on my eyelid. After I've done that, to just set my eyelid area, because I tend to crease around my eye. My eyelids tend to crease a lot. I'll just use my powder, a pressed powder, and set that concealer I used on the eyelid. And this pressed powder is from MAC. Then another thing I like to just do is go back with that brush I used to contour my nose, and just use the contour powder around the beginning of the brows. Now to set the brows, I'll be using the Anastasia Beverly Hills brow gel. This is just a clear brow gel. This is just to set the hairs, just to set that, so that the eyebrows are just in place. So I just went ahead off camera to apply liner, mascara, and then lip gloss. So this look is very simple. You can wear this to work or for your everyday running around. This is the final look, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. See you next time.